Hey, Shalom, Shalom. Let me fix this real quick. Get a little. Alright, this is Naaman with the DC Camp Branch of Great Millstone. Back for another video. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakawadash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. I'd like to send out salutations to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways. Pushing the truth across four corners of the earth. Not only that, we post numerous videos across the internet and other various social media sites. Alright, further getting the word out. Alright, so what we have here, and this is to the northern kingdoms that apparently are just now getting the memo way too late. We tried to tell you for decades, and the way we were treated should have been a warning sign to you for far longer than that. But for some reason, I mean, we all know what it is, but I'm just putting it out there like that. A little sarcasm, but for some reason, a lot of you were striving to become what they call white adjacent. So you didn't care. There's a documentary that I watched on, I can't remember if it was a PBS or the Story Channel here locally in DC. And it went into the history during the civil rights, so-called civil rights era, and it told and showed how northern kingdoms, you were permitted to ride up in the front and the buses that were segregated along with so-called white folks, while we had to be, ride in the back, all that. They went, and you had live people that had survived that era that were testifying to that. Said, yeah, we were, the white folks, we were sitting up there with them, and, yeah. Oh, and then there's this. This is from the League of United Latin American Citizens. His name is Felix, let me make sure I get it right, Tijerina. Hopefully I said that. And the thing was, it was suggested to him that, hey, why don't we work with the so-called blacks in the NAACP? And this is his response. They say he sternly reprimanded his colleagues, saying, let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. This was, let's see, he was the president of LULAC from 1956 to 1960. Right smack, damn, in the beginnings of it. Well, as far as, with King and all that. Yeah. I don't know part of it, because what? They were striving, and there's another one, I can't remember his name. All right, it might have been this one, but I might have to go into his, let's see. In fact, let me go ahead and do that. I want to make sure I get it right, because it was someone else doing around the same period, maybe just a few short years afterwards. Might have been the early 60s. All right, let's look this guy up here. All right. Yeah, he was a busboy. It goes into his bio and all that. I'm not concerned with that right now. He opened his own restaurant in 1929. 56, he became, like we were just saying, the League of United Latin American Citizens president. All right. Let's see. And Rob Walsh of the Houston Press said that Tijerina's story is a story of assimilation. All right, his mission was to help Mexican Americans merge into the American mainstream as successfully as he had in that early Mexican restaurant. Well, blah, 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 blah. But the thing is, again, you have treated us like this. And you have to understand there's that system. I don't want to call it much the same as, well, I guess you could say it's like kind of like Elam's caste system down there in South America, with people such as myself, with darker hue, all right, and those darker than me are on the bottom. So when they come here to America, the American so-called black man is of a little higher status than what he would be where they are. Where if I were down in South America, people such as myself would be doing most of the work. All right, so they come up here, well, blacks are lazy, blah 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 blah, all that shit. But the thing is, with a lot of Israelites waking up, both northern and southern kingdom, what you have now is those that all this shit that you've done, all right, is catching up with you. And this is what she's crying about here. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. All right, asking how do we deal with this? Well, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and the fact that we really didn't have a choice. I bet a lot of them to this day, I'm talking about Northern Kingdom, that live South, Central and South America, don't realize that they're not in control like they think. All right, meaning that you'd have to go, as far as ancestry goes, a lot of those leaders are not them. All right, you've got that, what is it called? Oh man, I have to, what's that Spanish term? Forgive me. I might have to put it like this, hold on. Whoops. Income, let's see. Let's see. I'll try to pronounce it as best I can. Let's see. No. Spanish. Okay, there we go. Here it is. Encomienda. Best I can. Was a Spanish labor system that rewarded conquerors, sound familiar, with the labor of conquered non-Christian people. In theory, the conquerors provided the laborers with benefits, including military protection and education. In practice, the conquered were subject to conditions that closely resemble instances of forced labor and slavery. That word was first established in Spain following the Christian Reconquista, and it was applied on a much larger scale during the Spanish colonization of the Americas and the Spanish East Indies. Conquered peoples were considered vassals of the Spanish monarch. See, there's a distinction between you, the indigenous peoples of, hell, even north, Northern Kingdom, northern, central, and southern western hemispheres, and your conquerors, the conquistadors. Those were Edomites. You were not Edomites. All right, the crown awarded them as a grant to a particular individual. Now, I want to get down here. It says it evolved from their original Iberian form into a form of communal slavery. In the system, the Spanish crown granted a person a specified number of natives from a specified community but did not dictate which individuals in the community would have to provide their label. Let's see, how did this, I'm trying to see, I'll put this in the link, let me make sure I bookmark it. All right. It says this system traveled to America with the implantation of Castilian law. Castile, that's Spain. All right. Castilian law and Spanish territories. The system was created in the Middle Ages and was pivotal to allow for the repopulation and protection of frontier land during the frontier land. So what do you think? It's not talking about, it's not a good thing for those indigenous to that land. This system originated in the Catholic south of Spain to extract labor and tribute from Muslims, Moors, who were Jakes, meaning they were a particular darker hue, before they were exiled in 1492 after the Moorish defeat in the Granada War. All right, it was a method of rewarding soldiers and money men who defeated the Moors. So this is when Edom, all right, got the upper hand, all right, and drove Jake out of Spain and into slavery. All right, feudal system. Let's see. Let's see. Establishment. Isabella the First of Castile. Yes, a lot to this I'm not going to be able to cover, but all you need to know. All right, death, disease, and genocide. Look at there. The Codex Kingsborough, also known as the Codex Tepec. Oh, I'm not going to try. It's a 16th century Mesoamerican pictorial manuscript which was part of a lawsuit against the Spanish for mistreatment. All right, you forgot about all this. You forgot about that history. A lot of you don't even bother yourself, just like Jake here, in going into that history. You're comfortable in your ignorance. All right, for some reason you just don't want to know. You don't think this is going to end, but I got news for you. It's ending now, right in front of your face. But for your Northern Kingdom, now you get over here and you think you've done everything so this so-called white man can like you and prefer you over us, when at the end of the day you were just being used. See, this man is an expert in divide and conquer. He's had centuries of practice. All right. In this, you have to also realize that it appears he's trying to upset prophecy, because he knows if, and through prophecy, when we get together, that's his ass. All right, so here we go. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Like, how are you guys handling this? Because I can't. Like, they are hunting us down like animals.
Yeah.
And are you all okay with this? Just because we look this way? Just because of our names? Like, what? I'm so angry. Like, there is so much rage watching those videos of raids in construction sites, like on the street, and by Proud Boys, by white supremacists. They're hunting us down.
And the sad thing is how they're using the Northern Kingdom like this. In the meantime, you don't hear much as a whisper about all these other the illegal European immigrants, Asian, whatever else have you. You even hear more about so-called African immigrants lately. Haitian, of course, Uh, but why aren't they putting that on the news about them raiding these brothels and all that? uh, but yet you got people that, I mean, illegal is illegal, all right, but that's first strike against you, and it permitted them to, you know, go about it the way they did, even though it's to excess. Yeah, of course, but it's your, I guess what I'm saying here, and a lot of people are pointing out, is your attitude with all of this before now, of course, because now you're being humble. But it's like, oh man, you were like, Negroes are lazy because you believed your white buddy and his, all his lies and shit. And oh man, man, he set you up. Oof. As an example, this Jake, she was over in China. I can't remember exactly where, but it was not her by herself. She was with a small group, and they were eating somewhere, and this Moabite comes up to her, and she's talking about all this, like watermelon and all this shit, and they're just like, they started laughing and shit at the woman. She was just going in on all the racist, stereotypical shit that, and guess what? When she was forced, because you gotta understand, China don't play that. If for nothing else, they know they're doing business, with Africa. So how is this gonna play? Yeah. So they had her dumbass apologize, and she admitted then it was her white boyfriend that was telling her all of this. And there's a video from, 4 years ago now, how time flies. Well, it's Jake. He was over, going to school, and, he had to deal with these guys following him around, and he was like, what the hell's going on? And, and they were like, well, we were trying to see if you were going to grow a tail. And he was like, what? And what had happened, again, some Edomites had told him that when the sun goes down, that we grow tails. Yeah. If I can find it, I will post that. This is the shit Jake has to deal with. And, that hatred and, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not only, you gotta understand, it's not only a local. This is what allows for the perceptions that people have overseas even before they come over here. You gotta understand that. This is what this devil does. All right. This is I'm trying to think of the scripture now. How this Is it Psalms 50? Hold on. Slanderous says, I think it is 50. I might be thinking of something else. So let's see. 50. I think it's around 19. Hold on. Yeah, 50:19. Thou givest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue frameth deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thine own mother's son. All right. So, yeah, slanders. That's he. This is King David, right? He says, "He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool." And aren't we? That's what we're dealing with, right? Remember what Job called them. All right, fools, and that's exactly what they are. All right, but let's go ahead and finish this video. See, you forgot. I'm talking about you Northern Kingdom, so-called Spanish and Hispanic and Latinos. You fell for it. We, for so long, wanted you, hey, come with us. But you said, nah, because why? You focus so much on trying to be white. And you're not. You never were. All right? That Catholicism bullshit, again, that was used, as a wedge, as a means to divide us. All right? It's nothing universal about a book that was made for the Israelites. Nothing. All right?
Hunting us down? Because we look this way? Because we speak this way? Because we go like, I don't understand how people are still defending this man. Like, I don't get it. Make me understand. Because I can't. I cannot wrap my head around you hunting people down because they look the way they look. Like, what?
See, and that's the sad part about it, because you were warned. You were warned. And what does the scripture say about trusting your enemy? All right? You fuck around with that snake if you want to. Who's going to pity you when you get bit? Nobody. And that's what a lot of southern kingdoms, that's the attitude that they're taking now. We warned you. We kept warning you. You know what? Things are not what they appear to be. But no, we got this. Y'all just lazy. Yeah. Okay. A lot of you are going to countries that you know nothing about, which that just adds to the fucking hatred of this devil. That don't even make any motherfucking sense. You from South America, and they sending you to the Sudan or some shit. The fuck? Wow. You got people that, in the case of this one young lady, I think she's 4 years old or something like that she's, very, very ill and requires special treatment. Nope, send her on. They're having no pity. None whatsoever. Again, the scriptures foretold of that. Yes, we're at that time now. That literally any moment now, the financial system could collapse. And we all know what that's about. That's going into the MOTB, the seed to the hip. All right. So, these prophecies, this thing is going exactly, all right, as it reads. All right. But as, Northern Kingdom, like, damn. You see now what we've been dealing with. Now you understand. Wow. Let's get some comments real quick. So they never watched the news or heard of George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, or Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland. Get the fuck out of here. Miss me with that. Yep, everything she said, it's terrible, right? We've been dealing with it for 350 years in this country. They don't care to understand until it happens to them. And that's essentially what I've been saying all along. Say it again, 400 years and a little change. Longer than that, blah, 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 blah. All right. Oh, being hunted down, oppressed, abused, and discriminated against because of the way you look. Wow, that's tough. That's rough. Every black person in the U.S. Now you know how black people feel every day. We are beyond the tears you are shedding. Only when it happens to your people do you care about racism. They were okay with this until it started happening to them. Your community helped put him in office. Canada here, your people voted for him. 92% and 80% voted and did their job. Your people voted against their own interest. Go complain to them. Let 92% and 80% out of it. Not their problem anymore. They will strive and survive like always. What they're talking about, or making reference to here, 92% they say is the so-called black woman, and 79, 80% was so-called black man. They don't understand. It really wouldn't have mattered. All right, because they're not considering who's behind the scenes, really, the power behind the scenes. Why, and here's the question, why did so many Hispanics vote for someone who repeatedly disrespected their community? And now they have the nerve to cry, to shed crocodile tears. Makes you wonder, or was it something else going on here? Maybe, yes, they voted against their best interest, but maybe they were voting thinking that, again, going back to what I was saying, that they were going to be the new favorite. And it backfired. It backfired big time. I don't know what they were thinking. Wow. How long have you been in this country? Where was this rage and tears when it was only focused on blacks? Did you cry about George Floyd? That's right, Tabitha. Ease right on out of the view. We tried to prevent it. Her people wanted it. We have been living in this hellscape. Welcome. Only difference, we did nothing but exist. They voted for it. That's enough. You get it. You know, it's nothing more to say or see here. You know. Wow. Just wow. She's not the only one. You know, a lot of these Nigerians and others from Africa who, again, you know, played that game. Wakanda, my brother. At the end, where did all that get you? I mean, same with them. They wanted to be separated. We tried to tell them. Now that you're seeing, and did I do a video on that maybe a couple of weeks ago? You had this, where was he from? Was he from Ghana, Nigeria, something? I can't forget. But he was like, I see what you all were talking about now. Talking about, you know, so-called black Americans. He said, God damn. You know. But in any case, yeah, that's it. It says, welcome to the black experience. Wow. Some things that's just it. You have to experience. It would be nice if you would listen to those that have gone before you. But again, some things are best learned through experiencing it for yourself. So with that, until the next video, hey, shalom.